So the first thing with belief in self, you guys have to be able to craft the right identity. You guys have to be able to craft the right identity. And I always like telling this story because I think this really drives this home. So, and some of you may have heard me tell it before, but I think it always still hits the same is my first time going to UGA. How many of you guys are familiar with UGA, right? College town, really cool spot. And for anybody who's really been in like a real small college town, one of the biggest things to do there is bar hopping, right? Small town, college crowd, right? Tons and tons of bars. So first time at UGA, I'm 19 years old. And I never forget, my friends wanted to go out to the bar. I'm like, well, bro, like, how am I going to get in the bar? I'm 19. They're like, oh, Joseph, we got you. Little fake ID, right? You know? But as I'm looking at this fake ID, I start to get even more nervous, right? Because the guy's dark skinned. I'm light skinned, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, bro, how's this going to work? They're like, bro, just trust me. Just be calm, right? Be relaxed. You'll be able to get in. So we're going in the line and, you know, finally get to the front where the bouncer is, right? And he looks at me, looks at my ID, looks back at me, and he's like, go in. So I'm like, oh my God. Finally got in, right? So now I'm in this bar. Everyone's having like tons of fun. And while everyone's having tons of fun, like I'm literally in the corner paranoid as heck. Because what I keep thinking is at some point, this guy's gonna come and get me and kick me out. It's gonna be the most embarrassing thing ever, right? But as I think about that moment, I learned something. Why is it that even though I had access to the space, I was inside, I couldn't take advantage of it? Why do you guys think that is? Identity, right? I was operating in a 21 and up environment, right? With an 18 and under identity. So the first thing that you guys really have to begin to craft, right, is this proper identity, because a lot of you might start getting into the environments that you want to get into, getting into the opportunity you want to get into the spaces that you want to get into. But if you don't fix this, right, you'll never be able to take advantage of it, even though it's right at your fingertips, right? So it's so important that we start here, because now when you're able to change your identity, you start getting some new perks, right? When you have that 21 and up license, right, you're driving past 12 now, right? Able to stay out late, right? You can buy some new things, you can get into some new spaces, but that only happens if you take your identity. And the hardest thing sometimes about identity is nobody can take the test for you. That's the hardest thing. Nobody can take the test for you. How many of you guys remember taking your driver's test, right? Right? You can be inside, like me, I was inside the car with my mom, right? But at the end of the day, when it came to it, mom could not get inside the car with me. She couldn't help me parallel park, right? That was like the worst thing of the test. Everything else, that was like cake. The parallel parking though, I was like, and this is before like backup cameras. Now, if I have the backup camera play, that's easy. It's like, press the button, you know, Tesla, right? But I didn't have that. So I'm out here 6-point, 9-point turning, right? Like it was bad. But the thing is, I had to go through that myself. And that's the hardest thing, right? So I do want to encourage you guys. I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you some things that help me. But at the end of the day, right, you end up having to get into that car, right, with the instructor called life, and you do have to pass the test. But I promise you, once you get here, this starts unlocking everything else. Does that make sense?